Good day. Welcome to Miss Clark Reads to You. I'm finishing up the audio visual, the italics. Now, if you're looking at the PDF version, you may not see italics, meaning slanted words, to let you know that Mitch is going into a flashback into the past when Morrie was his college professor at Brandeis University. So I will tell you when there's italics in a flashback as I'm reading. In the audiovisual right before this, Morrie stated four traits that he wants to demonstrate as he is dying of ALS: courage, dignity, humor, and composure. So I went through and I found two things he says that show two of those traits. When he says jokingly but seriously, and this shows that he can be funny about his debilitating disease. I'm very concerned that someday someone's going to have to wipe my butt. And how am I going to handle that? And then his composure is when he was talking about some mornings he wakes up and he just cries and cries about his impending death and the pain he's going to feel, and maybe even already does truly feel. And he says, then, you know what? I shake it off and I say I want to live, and I get to start on my day. It is our first class together in the spring of 1976. I enter Morrie's large office and notice the seemingly countless books that line the wall, shelf after shelf. Books on sociology, philosophy, religion, psychology. There is a large rug on the hardwood floor and a window that looks out on the campus walk. Only a dozen or so students are there, fumbling with notebooks and syllabi. Most of them wear jeans and earth shoes and plaid flannel shirts. I tell myself it will not be easy to cut a class this small. Maybe I shouldn't take it. Mitchell, Morrie says, reading from the attendance list. I raise my hand. Do you prefer Mitch? Or is Mitchell better? I have never been asked this by a teacher. I do a double take at this guy in his yellow turtleneck and green corduroy pants, the silver hair that fell on his forehead. He is smiling. Mitch, I say. Mitch is what my friends called me. Well, Mitch, it is then, Morrie said as if closing a deal. And Mitch, yes, I hope that one day you will think of me as your friend. The orientation. As I turned the rental car onto Morrie Street in West Newton, a quiet suburb of Boston, I had a cup of coffee in one hand and a cellular phone between my ear and shoulder. I was talking to a TV producer about a piece we were doing. My eyes jumped from the digital clock. My return flight was in a few hours to the mailbox numbers on the tree-lined suburban street. The car radio was on, the all news station. This was how I operated. 5 things at once. Roll back the tape, I said to the producer. Let me hear that part again. Okay, he said. It's going to take a second. Suddenly I was upon the house. I pushed the brakes, spilling the coffee in my lap. As the car stopped, I caught a glimpse of a large Japanese maple tree and 3 figures sitting near it in the driveway. A young man, a middle-aged woman, flanking a small, old man in a wheelchair. Morrie. At the sight of my old professor, I froze. Hello, the producer said in my ear. Did I lose you? I had not seen Morrie in 16 years. His hair was thinner, nearly white, and his face was gaunt. I suddenly felt unprepared for this reunion. For one thing, I was stuck on the phone, and I hoped that he hadn't noticed my arrival so that I could drive around the block a few more times, finish my business, get mentally ready. But Morrie, this new withered version of a man I had once known so well, was smiling at the car, hands folded in his lap, waiting for me to emerge. Hey, the producer said again, you there? For all the time we'd spent together, for all the kindness and patience Morrie had shown me when I was young, I should have dropped the phone and jumped from the car, run and held him and kissed him hello. Instead, I killed the engine and sunk down off the seat as if I was looking for something. Yeah, I'm here, I whispered, and continued my conversation with the TV producer until we were finished. I did what I had become best at doing. I tended to my work even while my dying professor waited on his front lawn. I'm not proud of this, but that is what I did. Now, 5 minutes later, Morrie was hugging me, his thinning hair rubbing against my cheek. I had told him I was searching for my keys, and that's what had taken me so long in the car. I squeezed him a little tighter, as if I could crush my little lie. Although the spring sunshine was warm, he wore a windbreaker, and his legs were covered by a blanket. He smelled faintly sour, the way people on medication sometimes do. With his face pressed close to mine, I could hear his labored breathing in my ear. "My old friend," he whispered, "you've come back at last." He rocked against me, not letting go, his hands reaching up for my elbows as I bent over him. I was surprised at such affection after all these years, but then in the stone walls I had built between my present and my past, I had forgotten how close we once were. I remembered graduation day, the briefcase, his tears at my departure, and I swallowed because I knew deep down that I was no longer the good, gift-bearing student he remembered. I only hoped that for the next few hours I could fool him. Inside the house, we sat at a walnut dining room table near a window that looked out on a neighbor's house, and Morrie fussed with his wheelchair trying to get comfortable. As was his custom, he wanted to feed me, and I said, "All right." One of the helpers, a stout Italian woman named Connie, cut up bread and tomatoes and brought containers of chicken salad, hummus, and tabbouleh. She also brought some pills. Morrie looked at them, and he sighed. His eyes were more sunken than I remembered, and his cheekbones more pronounced. This gave him a harsher, older look, until he smiled, of course. And the sagging cheeks gathered up like curtains. "Mitch," he said softly, "you know I'm dying." I knew. "All right, then." Morrie swallowed the pills, put down the paper cup, inhaled deeply, let it out. "Shall I tell you what it's like?" "What it's like to die?" "Yes," he said. Although I was unaware of it, our last class had just begun. It is my freshman year. This is italics, so we're going into a flashback. Morrie is older than most of the teachers, and I am younger than most of the students, having left high school a year early. To compensate for my youth on campus, I wear old gray sweatshirts, and I box in a local gym, and I walk around with an unlit cigarette in my mouth. Even though I do not smoke, I drive a beat-up Mercury Cougar with the windows down and the music up. I seek my identity in toughness, but it is Morrie's softness that draws me, and because he does not look at me as a kid trying to be something more than I am, I relax. I finished that first course with him and enroll for another. He is an easy marker. He does not much care for grades. And one year, they say, during the Vietnam War, Morrie gave all his male students A's to help them keep their student deferments. I begin to call Morrie Coach, the way I used to address my high school track coach. Morrie likes the nickname. "Coach," he says. "All right, I'll be a coach, and you can be my player. You can play all the lovely parts of my life I'm too old for now." Sometimes we eat together in the cafeteria. Morrie, to my delight, is even more of a slob than I am. He talks instead of chewing, and he laughs with his mouth open, and he delivers a passionate thought through a mouthful of egg salad, and little yellow pieces spew from his teeth. It cracks me up. You know, the whole time I know Morrie, I have two overwhelming desires: to hug him and to give him a napkin. And that's the end of the orientation. So I'm going to make a brain connection here. What surprised me is Mitch's initial reluctance to warm up to Morrie. And then Morrie just has this amazing, welcoming aura or charisma about him. And Mitch also realizes that Morrie is an easy grader, but he's really easy to talk to. And so this moves Mitch as that young, tough college kid who wants to appear, strong and masculine. He becomes so warmed up to Morrie. He wants to eat lunch with him and spend more time with him. So we'll stop there. Make a book brain heart connection now. You can make all three, or if you wanted to make one or two, make them a little bit longer. I really enjoyed reading to you. I hope you're doing really well, and I look forward to reading to you again. Thank you.